Thanks very much for inviting me to this first kickoff session talking about sensory augmentation. And I'm going to give you a very fast-paced view on some different thoughts. Hopefully they stimulate some discussions around opportunities and challenges. And I particularly build on around sensory augmentation. I build on my work on multisensory experiences, and that's really something where I spent the last decade on working, and where we published last year our book on multisensory experiences, where the senses meet technology. And I think there are lots of opportunities here around sensory augmentation and how we can actually think about our senses beyond audiovisual, taking touch, taste, and smell into account. So this is a popular science book which came out, so it's a coffee table book which you can read and hopefully enjoy. It has an array of different examples in it. But one of the foundations we're trying to kind of address there is really what is an experience and what role do the senses play in those experiences. So we are exposed to a variety of different sensory stimuli in our environment, and how do we integrate all of those stimuli in order to make sense and enjoy, for instance, a sunflower field. And one of the key things we also do in this particular book, and kind of integrating all the research Carlos Velasco, my co-author, and I have done over the last 10 years, is defining multisensory experiences. What is it actually? Can we pinpoint some of the key characteristics? And here I just want to highlight really that multisensory experiences, the way we define it, are impressions formed by specific events whose sensory elements have been carefully crafted by someone. So for example, to create the impression of a sunflower, colors, shapes, textures, smells are considered. And the senses are placed at the center of this formation of the impression of the sunflower, even in the absence of the real sunflower or the real flower. And this even is quite important, because that even is enabled for new technologies, new emerging technologies. And so I just want to show, this is kind of the reality. We can go out there and go through a sunflower field. This is how we experience it. Technology like mobile phones, smartphones have enabled us to augment this reality. You can capture the flower, you can find out what different type of flower it is, you can find out more about its background. So you're already augmenting reality, and then you can even recreate a sunflower field in virtual reality and can walk through it. And through combining carefully different sensory elements, and I'm not just meaning like sounds of birds around you or the wind or what you see, but also smells and maybe some tastes of a sunflower on your lips, and touch when you're touching it can be recreated. And so you're creating these virtual environments which are augmented. So it's really something we discuss a lot in this kind of reality virtuality continuum, where there are lots of opportunity to think about sensory augmentation and also sensory substitution. Because if you start understanding how different sensory features and elements can be combined to recreate an experience, you can also start to think about the substitution. How can you make certain experiences accessible for people who missing modalities like sight or hearing, or as we experienced over the last year, our sense of smell as well. But it's not limited to physical objects. We can also recreate invisible objects and create multisensory experiences for it. As we, for instance, did in this example with some astrophysicists from Imperial College.
Unbeknown to you, 500 million dark matter particles every second are streaming through your body. Tonight, you'll be able to feel dark matter.
I do apologize, you can't experience it tonight, but there is a whole 2.5 minute video online if you want to hear more about what we did in the Science Museum 2 years ago now, to really recreate a multisensory experience around dark matter. And that means smell, taste, touch, and audiovisual stimuli, and particularly based on multisensory, metaphorical experiences. So it's like we don't know how dark matter smells like, but you can create representation of it. And so we had like a large group of people during the science festival in the Science Museum as well to experience it. But beyond these kind of invisible concepts, you can also think about sensory augmentation in a different way, where you are not human anymore, but you're embodying a different physical object. Like in this particular case, people were embodying a tree in virtual reality. So their arms became the branches of a tree, and they could feel the birds on their arms, or they could smell when they come out from the ground in the forest, or in the end also they can smell the fire when the forest is endangered. And that was a collaboration together with New Reality in New York, where we created 3VR, and we particularly created the multisensory stimulation. So how do we integrate smell and integrate it with haptics and audiovisual stimuli in order to recreate this experience, which was supported by the Rainforest Alliance. And similarly, it's not just like you can have like this experience in a space where you grow from a small seed to a tall tree in virtual reality. You can also travel through time and have multisensory experiences, where here, for instance, we worked on Fly VR with Picture This production, which was for the 100th anniversary for British Airways, where it basically went back to Leonardo's workshop with the first flying constructions, and then you're in Tuscany, you have the smell of that time, and then you have the evolution of flying over the centuries, and you go even into the future. And so we integrated again wind, temperature, smells into the audiovisual experience. In addition, that the narrative also changes depending on where you're looking in this huge X-shaped construction, which was featured in the gallery. What was it? In the Saatchi Gallery, also 2 years ago. And so all this really was facilitated through the research we did in my research lab on the Sky Lab on touch, taste, and smell, where we built new hardware, but also software in order to work with modalities which we usually don't know how to work with, like smell. We built a software architecture for designing experiences based on smell. We built devices in order to help also the stimulation, and we improved that over the years. And now we even have like our own startup where we are integrating our device, the hardware and the software solution for different immersive experiences, but in the last few years also for healthcare and well-being applications. So really all that just brings me to the point that we have now, through technology, an opportunity to really augment reality and create even new realities. With the question, where does that leave us as humans? What's the evolution of humankind look like? And also, where is our humanness in the future? And so as part of the book, we also create a lot of questions about the challenges and potential misuses of all these technologies, and create, inspired by Asimov for the laws of robotics, the 3 laws of multisensory experiences. I'm not going to go into the details, but it's really not that simple as it sounds. To create something for good and not harm people, but also make very fairly treatment of different user groups, but also make aware who is actually creating. Is it a friend? Is it a government? Or who is creating this experience? So you can find out more in the book. If you don't like to read, we have also other sensory representations, a sound representation, a chef, Yusuf. Yusuf created a dish for our book, and other kind of aspects as well. With that, thanks very much, and I hope we have some really interesting discussions about sensory augmentation or multisensory experiences. And if you would like to know more about our group, join us also for the showcase next Friday at UCL Computer Science. Thanks so much.